What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Capes on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me to my left is Organoid Zero himself, Brock.
Hello, everyone.
Down below, we've got Matt.
Hello. I do StreamYard wrong, so I don't pimp out my Twitter. Sorry.
And next to him, we've got Manning.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be back here again on a Marvel movie that I, spoiler alert, actually did like.
Oh, okay. All right. You're starting off with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is our spoiler discussion for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is, I don't need to explain that this is the third film in the Guardians trilogy.
Wait.
See, you have to say in the
You mean
Guardians
to tell me.
trilogy, because there's the holiday special.
So then 3.
Yeah, which man ain't seen before this movie.
I didn't. I saw it after the third movie, which
It cleared up a really big story point for him.
It really did, but that actual first point went over my head the first time I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, they must have established that in the second one," and I just completely forgot about it. Looking back and watching the Christmas special, I was wrong.
Manning somehow thought he could watch Marvel things out of sequence and be fine. Poor boy.
How
he did
childish
just watch
and
all
foolish.
of Phase 4, so he was actually pretty safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just saying.
So speaking of the holiday special, let's since this is all spoilers, let's address that little plot point, shall we? That Peter Quill and Mantis are technically brother and sister.
Kurt Russell's a
Half.
man whore.
I
I mean that ego is a man whore.
Yeah, I was going
A planet
make
whore,
that
I
very
should say.
clear here, sir. He's been pure to Goldie Hawn.
that's true.
Don't you dare start this. Yeah, no, that was
If anyone believed my credibility on that statement, that's their issue and not me.
It was one of those. It is one of those points that I remember watching the holiday special, which will just get my. It was cute. Like it was like I think what was it, 40 minutes?
Yeah,
like it was under an hour.
45.
It's pretty quick. Kevin Bacon was super fun, and I love that he's at this point in his career to where he's just like, sure, whatever. I'll be in your commercials about bacon burgers and stuff like that. Like, hey, I like that he's gotten to this point where he's like, whatever.
It's his best comic book movie so far.
But that point, it was just like, it makes sense while also just being like, it's the first time in this series that it felt like that wasn't planned from the original. It was just James Gunn was like, I have a bit of an opportunity for something. Like, I don't think when he wrote Guardians 2, he was thinking that. Because I feel like that would have come up in Guardians 2, considering the entire thing of that movie is like family and like connection and all that. So why would that not? And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Anakin and Vader were two separate characters when George Lucas wrote A New Hope. So you can adjust and change things. It doesn't. I'm just saying it was for a series that has always felt very like kind of planned out. That's but it's fine. It makes sense. We know Ego was planting his seed, pun intended. If you watch, because the seeds on the planets.
You're not wrong.
The best jokes are the ones you have to explain. So it makes sense, but
that's the thing.
It came up in this movie, but it wasn't really like a major like Manny watched the movie without seeing Holiday Special, and it wasn't like he missed a huge character point for Peter Quill or Mantis.
Yeah. What I'll quickly add by saying I really do like, again, I really did like the Holiday Special. It was kind of very fun. I don't want to call it frivolous entertainment, but it was just a nice little moment that was very akin to, some like specials you would have back in the day. It has no bearing really to the plot other than that one little plot point, which again doesn't really inform their characters going forward in Volume 3 really at all, outside of a couple of throwaway lines and maybe some added context to maybe interactions in the future for the third film. But other than that, I think it was a good holiday special. But that plot point in particular, I don't think really made it a make or break moment for Volume 3, which I think is good because one of the problems I have with the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now is the fact that you have to watch really everything. You're going to miss. You don't have to watch everything, but if you don't watch everything, you run the chance of missing something. But I think, and we'll get to this a bit later, Volume 3 succeeds because Gunn does his best to try to make it as accessible as possible outside of the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I think this plot point is more of a fun little tidbit than it is actually something that's imperative to their characters.
Yeah, no, I actually do agree with that. And building off what you said before about, how James Gunn sort of plays with, the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, something that I really like about Volume 3 is how he builds off of a lot of Avengers Endgame, particularly how Gamora is used in the film. But before we get too far into this, I just want to bring everyone back to their overall thoughts on the franchise in general, because even before this, I went and rewatched the first two Guardians movies, and obviously had a great time revisiting those. But Brock, I want to start with you. Your overall thoughts on the Guardians franchise?
Well, considering during our review I told you that it's my favorite trilogy that Marvel's made, I would say that says quite a bit. It was in a weird way a trilogy that, through a lot of circumstances bordering on, seemed like it was made to hit every single emotional chord that I have. Considering outside of being abducted into space, I have a lot in common with how Peter kind of makes his own family. Like the first movie, stuff with his mom. Like my mom didn't die. My mom is still well alive, but I'll tell you right now that I would be inconsolable if something did happen to her, because she's literally my hero. And my dad was completely out of the picture. So just that whole thing was good with it a lot. And then again, dad not being there. Second movie hits, and I have a person who, after years of like not having a father figure in my life, my youth pastor who became my surrogate dad, I then know for however long, been close to them, literally calling him my dad. Guardians 2 hits, and I leave the theater a literal dying, sobbing mess and call him immediately. Tell him that I love him. And then this hits, and you get even more with like the main family and stuff like that. And it's well done. And it's a weird thing that like, it's a little bit kind of just accepted that for the most part, there's going to be some things in Marvel movies that just happen because they're Marvel movies. James's trilogy felt, the more they went along, but still, especially in the first one, felt the most like it was still mostly his movie, and he just did the stuff he was told to and got away from it immediately. Like, he openly admitted in an interview that he made up the bullshit for all of the freaking Infinity Stones on the spot after he was told he had to do it. That wasn't some pre-made thing. He got told about the scene and went, sure. And yeah, it's what I told you about Superman. James is very, very good at evoking emotions out of people.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at learning what he needs to do, going into it, and getting the best version of it he can emotionally. He's not just a goofy, wacky, whatever. It's just those are the movies he got hired to do. And it's just, yeah, all the characters were well thought out. They all had their own little beats. Nobody was perfect. And yeah, it was their perfect little group up movie that I knew legit. I had never heard of that Marvel term before they came out. And I'm no super geek. I know just plain simple, but I loved being introduced to something and it being my favorite trilogy of all of them. Cap's still my favorite character they've done, but yeah, it was, they're really good. And like that, like the stuff going throughout it, everything, at least to me, felt natural in them. All the story beats and stuff, like what I was going to say earlier about like Mantis, I would think it'd have been unbelievably pointless to do it in 2, because she was meant to be a side throwaway character that we didn't know anything about, and it was based mostly on Ego and Peter. And if all of a sudden, like, Peter, oh, by the way, I'm your sister too, care about that while you're trying to save the guy that put the cancer tumor in your mom. I'll be back. Sorry. And then, yeah, but I thought they flowed well. Outside of a couple issues in 3, not big ones, I really like them all. I have no complaints, honestly.
Matt, what about you? Your overall thoughts on the Guardians trilogy?
Yeah, Guardians 1, I remember when it came out, and it was one of those Marvel movies that I missed in theaters just because you're a high school kid and you can't drive yourself, and so you sometimes just miss movies if you're busy with high school stuff and your parents won't drive you to a theater. And of course, just me being who I am, with a love of Star Wars, Star Trek, all this stuff. A lot of people were building this movie up to me as like, oh my god, Matt, this movie was like made for you. And a lot of people don't realize that when you tell people that, they go into movies with expectations. And so I went to this movie with expectations and I went, it's okay. It's fine. And it was like that for a couple of years, for a little bit. And then I remember I revisited it on its own. And I ended up really liking it. And for a while was my favorite Marvel movie. Guardians 2, I remember coming out, and at first I thought it was a really good follow-up. I thought it was a really solid follow-up. Kurt Russell's Ego, I still think is one of my favorite Marvel villains. And not just because it's Kurt Russell. There's reasons behind it. But I thought it was a really good movie. And then I remember I got it on Blu-ray and I watched it. And for the longest time, it was my favorite Marvel movie. And it still is in my top 3. I really love that movie. I think what that movie has to say about like found family and the people we let into our lives and the impressions that they make on us, whether they are actually your family or they're not your family, is really poignant. And I think also just for the character of Peter Quill, this whole thing that he's convinced himself of that there's this missing piece to him because he loses his mom. And so he's like, well, my dad's out there somewhere, because there was always that thing of like, oh, the David Hasselhoff picture, like I told everyone my dad was David Hasselhoff. Like there's this thing that Peter's like, well, when I find my dad, I'll be complete. And not even the Yondu thing, just in general, like, and, the relation with Gamora and just all that, like this realization of like, oh, wait a second, I didn't need this guy in my life to be complete. And it also just kind of works out that guy is kind of a psycho. And it's funny because that whole realization reminds me of another Chris Pratt movie, which is Onward, to where the character also thinks that he needs his dad to be complete and he doesn't. So that movie, I still feel really, really strongly about. I still think it's fantastic. I have to be honest. I've only seen Guardians 3 once. I think it is really, really good, but it is hard for me to say, oh, this is easily the best Marvel trilogy, nay, one of the best trilogies of all time, because I have seen Guardians 1 and 2 many, many times. I've only seen this one once. And if we're comparing this to, say, the Iron Man trilogy or the Cap trilogy or one of the other, the Ant-Man trilogy, to where I've seen, well, I guess Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium is in a similar vein to this, to where it's too early for me to say, oh, yeah, definitively. If you do, more power to you. I'm just an asshole. And that's just my own thing. But I still think this is a really great movie, and we'll get into it. And I think for what is, unless something happens with DC, is probably James Gunn's swan song with these characters, he really did a good job. And so overall, my feelings are that the Guardians trilogy are all pretty fantastic. They're all on the same level. I think of them kind of like the prequels, which for me, I'm a prequelist, to where I'm just like, yeah, I have my favorite in that trilogy, but they're all on the same level, and the level is very, very high. It's very good. So yeah.
And Matt, aside from the holiday special, your thought, or Manning, aside from the holiday special,
who?
What? Huh?
Who?
Matt again, are you ready?
Yeah.
Anyway, Manning, Guardians trilogy thoughts?
Yes, that is a trilogy. I just want everyone to take into consideration. I wanted to confirm this, so I looked it up. Did you know that we have actually gotten a whole Spider-Man trilogy in between Volume 2 and Volume 3? Just
Holy
let that sink
shit.
in.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let that sink in. And I think that kind of, I know. Speak now. That is wild to think about. And and obviously there were some various factors in there that kind of shuffled the stories around, but on the side of actually talking about the quality of the movie and my thoughts on them, I think the Guardians trilogy probably is, if not one of the most consistent film trilogies within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Only because, of course, when you have the director there for all three / writer, because he is basically the writer and director for all of them, I think, save for the first one where he had a co-writer whose name that I'm forgetting right now. I forgot her name.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Yes, but through that, his vision is basically weaved, and even if he didn't obviously care for some of the stuff that was done in Avengers, he's made his peace with that. He's made it known that he hasn't been a fan of how, Gamora in particular was used into the Avengers story. But he made the best of it, and he gave us a movie that I really, really enjoyed. Overall, I think basically what Brock and Matt were already saying as well, too, is the fact that it's a story about found family. And more so than any other series, I think, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, any trilogy, any film, this is a movie that really feels like what started off as 5 is now more. It's a family that keeps growing and growing, and more so than any other of the films in this cinematic universe, these feel like an actual family. The Avengers don't really feel like a family. Like no one else feels like family. Even people who may be the closest thing you can have, obviously, is people who are supposed to be biologically, but they feel almost more like a family, the Guardians, than any other characters in the Marvel universe. And I think that's a testament to what Gunn was able to do as a creator, really, of this iteration of the Guardians, taking what his sensibilities were as a writer and a director and making these characters just so darn endearing. And I loved having even if they weren't perfect films, they weren't perfect characters, perfect in the sense of like some subplots always are like, oh, I'd love to have more of this one, or maybe that didn't work for me, but you understood where they were coming from as characters. And Gunn did such a phenomenal job for his characterization work. And I think at the heart of the Guardians of the Galaxy, that's what counts. The story is there, true, but you care about what happens to them and the journeys that they go on. Just look at Rocket in particular. Rocket goes from the very first one, he's like, I'm a bounty hunter. I'm literally going to try to, tolerate you guys at the very least. In the second one, he goes on a journey of like, I like you guys a bit, but I still get annoyed with you, and I'm willing to put my selfish needs of stealing some of these batteries over, it's in my nature. I do it because I can. In the final of this one, full spoiler, he's here and he loves his family. He will do anything for his family when he's here leading the Guardians. This is some fantastic character growth that I think Gunn should be applauded for. And not saying that anyone else can do that, but he was able to see his vision through to the end, even if it had gotten a little jumbled along the way, thanks to some, that's the blessing and the curse of being in the cinematic universe. Someone else will have their hand in the pie. But the pie that he did build for these 3 was delicious, and I was a fan of it through all of it. And it might be my favorite trilogy. Yeah, I think it is the most consistent, and it's my favorite trilogy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I can't say it's the best trilogy of all time or anything like that, but it's my favorite within the cinematic universe.
I would have to agree with that. So I mentioned earlier that I went back and rewatched each of the previous films. The first one was written and directed by James Gunn and Nicole Perlman, a name that you don't really hear much about anymore. But yeah, she was kind of crucial to laying the groundwork for these characters, establishing their personalities and all of that. And I guess in hindsight, my hot take on the first Guardians is it looks the weakest compared to what would come later, but they still have like the fundamentals down pat. Like these are characters that are definitely a quirky bunch, but like by the end you're genuinely rooting for this ragtag team of misfits. Volume 2 for the longest time was my favorite, particularly because the last half of that movie is just a complete emotional roller coaster.
Mike, quick question: favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe or favorite of the Guardians?
Both.
Oh, okay.
At the time, it was at least like top 5, like top 5 of the MCU at the time, because I really liked Ego as a villain. I liked the subplot with Yondu and Rocket, and even just the soundtrack I thought was better in some ways than the first Awesome Mix. Like, anytime I listen now to Cat Stevens' Father and Son, I only really associate it with the Ravager funeral.
No, and I'd agree with you on that. When it came out, it was my favorite at the time too. Not give or take, I had emotional meaning behind that, but it was A, kind of nuts that they got Kurt Russell, and B, that he just got to go ham.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, oh.
And as for Volume 3, I've now seen the movie twice, both times in Dolby, which I'm totally not paid. I'm totally not paid to promote.
I was gonna say, Mike's just like,
should be at this point.
I didn't
Right?
watch it like you peasants over there in standard or real D.
No, but anyway,
got 45 on that last word,
but anyway, yeah, Volume 3 it's a lot. You can tell that this is James Gunn's swan song in pretty much every sense of the word. This is the last time that he's working with this universe, with these characters, and telling this particular story. And it's one of the few Marvel movies, even outside of like the MCU, it's the last time I've seen a movie with this much finality was Logan. Only this time, none of the characters die. Like, they all just kind of go their own separate ways. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this whole trilogy. I will be so bold to say that at least over the past like 20 years, over the past like 20 years, I would say the Guardians trilogy stands up with like the Lord of the Rings, the Dark Knight trilogy, Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. I would sincerely put it up against, those heavy hitters. Greatest trilogy of all time. Now that's a harder question.
You're right. It's hard to compete with Rush Hour, but some people do try. That's coming from a guy that likes them. Genuinely likes them.
It's hard to compete with Boss Baby. Even though
It's not a trilogy yet. I was about to say it's
still.
But when it does, by God, it's gonna be up there.
Oh boy. So we'll start with the flashback, since Rocket's story has the most like emotional heft out of anyone's this time.
You don't say.
I like how Manning had to turn his mic off just to get that. Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
So
Quick
I'm
question,
gonna ask the easy and tough question. Out of all of Rocket's friends, who's your favorite?
It's Teef.
Teefs?
He's so pure. He could be a Sesame Street character. But Floor too. Floor is probably more pure, but like there's just something about I'm Teef because even though we all got teeth, mine are bigger than all of yours. Like, he's just so. Just wanted to give him a hug. I just wanted Build-A-Bear to make a bear of him so I could pay $40 for it.
What an interesting Build-A-Bear experience that would be.
Well, they do everything now. They got Grogu's and ETs and everything. I'm just saying.
There's a part of this I think you're missing in the interesting that Manny brought up.
Oh, I did not even think about that. I do apologize.
Yeah, I wasn't
about
to say
that,
anything. I was just gonna let the conversation go. But
I took a sweet thing from my childhood, and now, unfortunately, because of James Gunn, he is twisted into some other thing. Thanks a lot, James. Thanks. Can't wait.
Well, what I'll say by that, don't worry. I realized, like, Matt, when you were saying that, part of me was like, oh God, Matt just not realize what he just did. But
you fill them with hearts and love.
I know, right? Exactly. But okay, here's my thing. Like, that entire aspect, I have seen some controversy, and I know some people who would find some of the scenes to be disturbing, which they are at the very least. I mean, at their heart, they are. Cruelty against animals in film, real life, what have you, is going to be disturbing and is sick and is wrong regardless.
But that's
Just let
kind of
that out there.
Point
And-
is like the bad guy's
and that is
bad
the
and he's
point.
doing something bad.
And that was my point I was going to
Yeah.
add. Like, it can be. And if it's too much for someone, I respect that completely. And I do not want to put that upon them. And as long as people are aware of that, that's all that matters. However, I feel like what we saw, while was it overtly cruel? Yes. And I think that was the point that James Gunn was
Yes.
trying to show. Because it made you even more a character as hardened in comparison to literally everyone that we have seen. Rocket is hardened to his core. And I think he did a really good job of kind of peeling back the layers, because we've gotten literally him in the first one. He literally says he'd been peeled apart piece by piece. And we kind of get that. We don't really get it, but we see kind of the aftermath of what that is. And I think we see glimpses of it, obviously, but we don't get the full experience. And I think that would have been a little too much, because it's PG-13 after all. But we get just enough to where I feel like Rocket's story is the best by far, because yes, he has the most, but it's just so cathartic to be able to see his character progression go from who he was in the first one to where he is now, and seeing where he came from. Plus, honestly, seeing all the different, it kind of, yes, it's an easy, what's the word? It's an easy pull on the heartstrings, because most people, I'd like to hope and pray that animals in any sort of pain would hurt you.
Let's just be honest here, guys. We're all movie fans. I commend all filmmakers and writers, support the writer's strike right now. But let's be honest here. In movies, it is so easy. All you gotta do is introduce a cute looking animal and kill them, and you get hearts going, oh.
Is like, it easy?
That's all you need.
Yeah. But I understand why they did it for this. So overall, I think they did a really good job with Rocket's story. Yes, I can see why it would be upset some people, and I completely understand that, and I will not disparage anyone who doesn't want to.
And I just want to
watch that.
Jump off of what Manny is saying, and what I did say is like, yes, it's bad, and yeah, they could have gotten a lot more if it wasn't PG-13, but the whole point,
which I don't think they needed to.
Yeah, no, it's unnecessary. It's one of those things where if you show too much, you lose something. And I'm actually going to, for Manning's sake, I'm going to compare this to a classic film, which is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is Nurse Ratched.
Good movie.
The thing she does to those patients is horrible, and it's bad, but she's the villain. So it's like, yes, that's the whole intent. James Gunn is not saying, hey, cruelty to animals is awesome, you should all go and do it. No, it's bad. Our bad guy in the movie is the one doing it. It is bad. We're showing you it's bad. We're telling you it is bad. Peter Quill and Nebula are not doing this. The bad guys. And I just think there's this problem, because I've been seeing it online too. The discourse around this movie about this is missing that very vital point to where it's bad, but the bad person in the movie is the one doing it. So the filmmakers are well aware of that. James Gunn's hope with this movie is not that any kids who go and see this go, Mommy, when I grow up, I want to perform science experiments on animals to create a better society for myself. No, he wants kids to go, that was really mean what he did to Teeth and Floor. I don't ever want to do that. That's the point. And I think it's part of the thing that media literacy is kind of dead, and everybody just kind of takes things at face value now, unfortunately, even though it's kind of clearly evident that it's wrong and you shouldn't do animal cruelty.
A great example of a broken clock being right twice a day. I don't like PETA, but they actually had kind things to say about this movie. So, say what you will about the other things that PETA does. At least they recognize that this is like good representation of like how animal cruelty is, bad and stuff.
Let's just be honest. I think the Guardians Volume 3 Special Edition could fix this. There were just two things we added to these scenes. Everyone would have been fine. And they're Alyssa Milano and In the Arms of the Angels.
Why?
They all would have understood.
Why?
They all would have gotten it.
It was already too much. We can't add all that too.
I didn't even see PETA made a statement about this movie.
They did.
They did.
Really?
They say it was what I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, they said it was the most important or best, I can't remember which adjective they used, film about animals or against movie against animal cruelty of the year or something like that.
Something like that.
Right.
But that's an award that has to be
I
given.
was gonna say, what came in last place? Now I'm wondering, what's the Razzies of Peanuts Awards?
Oh jeez, I don't even want to know.
The Meg 2?
We don't know.
And anyway, Brock, your thoughts on Rocket's story?
The question I was going to ask is, among the discourse of there being animal cruelty, I was genuinely shocked at how many people were genuinely shocked there was animal cruelty. You were told before this movie even started getting filmed that it was going to be Rocket's backstory. Were you expecting him to be a loan shark? What did you think you were getting?
I like how Brock was very quiet during all this, and now I see why. He was holding that in. What did you expect? We all saw the prison scene in the first movie. He had like wires and shit in his bag. He definitely was not just born like this. He literally drunkenly says as much in the first movie.
And then it was like, yeah.
Once again, media literacy is dead.
Media literacy is dead. It's like you had, and this is the thing that I don't get. I don't understand it. And it's understanding the villain part. Okay, in a movie of another trilogy, quadrilogy that just ended, the excused murder of around, I believe, 600 people at this point happened because a group of 5 people killed one dog. One dog! And they got, oh, man, that guy's the worst. Oh, my goodness. Keanu killed all of them. And this one, yeah, but why'd you hurt animals, though? What?
Brock, are you trying to tell me that audiences and people talking about movies sometimes don't realize their own double standards depending on franchise?
I'm going to tell you.
I
was almost as traumatized from that puppy and that one Yelp it made at some levels of this. But go ahead, Manning. Go ahead.
I will say, I also, in order, Brock, I'll let you take a second to breathe as well, too. I think also that Twitter outrage will always be a bubble in comparison because the people who I have seen it, they may be more like, oh, that was disturbing. But they're not going to be like, why was that in there? Like, yeah, it's disturbing. We can all agree it was disturbing.
Well, absolutely.
That was the point. Exactly. And I think most people who see it will agree with that point, and they won't ask why was it there. That's the thing. And in Twitter outrage, we have known, and it will always be a bubble because that's just kind of how Twitter is to a point. And that's where I've seen the most of it, because most casual viewers will talk about that I have seen, which is 3. Well, no, like not too many. But like they'll be like, oh, that's disturbing, but they're not going to comment on why. So just wanted to point that out there. Also, the Twitter outrage is real.
He asked you all to say your favorite of Rocket's friends, and I'm the only one who answered the question.
I'm getting there.
I
just wanted to give the preface.
I got you.
No, I was going to say Layla because no one's mentioned her yet. I do genuinely like her, and
Layla's my favorite.
Like
I will let Manning answer. But was I the only one who, when we were watching the opening credits and we saw Linda Cardellini, that I was like, I guess her and Jeremy Renner are in here somewhere?
No, I didn't, because I got told ahead of time when the scene dropped of her talking that she was voiced.
See, I didn't see that, so I honestly just thought, I was like, oh, is she? Because I'm like, if you watch Hawkeye, she's related to S.H.I.E.L.D., so she make an appearance. Yeah. And then I like heard, and then it was one of those things where I heard the voice the first time, and I was like, is that? And then when it came back, I was like, oh, no, okay, that's Linda.
Yeah.
Okay. And all right, now I get it.
Yeah, the scene happened, and I'm like, that is really cruel. And again, you want to know what it preps you for? Waiting to see the guy get his ass kicked. And what made it better at the end is that he was a powerless douchebag. Yes. Because you know how most powerless douchebags act? Overpowering to people that can't fight back for themselves. And that was a really curse, because as soon as he took away the dumb gravity powers, he got the shit beat out of him. And it was a glorious beatdown that I really, really enjoyed. So I would say Lila was my favorite. Oh, they were all good. That scene when he talks about going into the beautiful forever and just all of it. Oh, it was so well done. But one thing I have to ask, and I know that Mike made this assumption. Okay, Manning and Matt. I don't talk with either of you often, but I have to ask, especially considering Floor, do any of you think that one of the writers or someone on the design team watched Toy Story slightly before they designed that character?
No. He's talking about Sid and all that.
The baby
yeah,
head
yeah.
on the freaking spider legs, that made me think of it immediately.
No, I didn't think of it, but it is a Disney thing, so who knows? I don't.
It just also every voice of Rocket aces, but yeah.
Does anybody know? And you don't have to. Was that Bradley Cooper the entire time, and they were just using like?
Yeah.
No.
No, really.
I don't
I thought it was his voice just like pitched up is what it
Yeah,
sounded
like
like.
I was just wondering if they did that.
There's actually a couple voices for Rocket.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
Because the thing is, sometimes with, which I really hate sometimes, which is cast credits, sometimes go by really fast. And especially, I said it, I'm not sure if I said it on the stream, I think I said before, I got attention deficit disorder, and Marvel credits tend to have a lot of shit happening when the cast things come up, so I can only focus on one singular thing. And so I was paying attention to all these pictures from the past movies, so I missed half of the cast.
Oh yeah, it was one of the fullest credit sequences they've had.
It's great. I'm just saying, for my sake, like,
no, I
credits after the first post-credit scene when you just have a black background, because then I can focus on the cast credits. Thanks, Marvel.
So anyway, the voices of Rocket. Obviously Cooper is present day Rocket, but Sean Gunn actually does the voice of young Rocket, while Noah Raskin voices baby Rocket. That's when he says the line, "Hurts."
Baby Rocket.
Aww.
Oh.
Man, I think we still haven't heard your favorite member of the
Oh, it's Floor. I say that because obviously I think her visual, more so than anyone else, is the most disturbing.
Yeah, it's the most brutal.
It was the one that kind of took me aback, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're going there as a movie." Because we'd known there were going to be some aspects of here that would be hard to watch. I didn't think they were going to go. I mean, honestly, out of a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, this might be one of the darker ones that we have seen, if not the darkest. But I can't think off the top of my head of anything that's as dark. Really, a lot of some images that are very like, wow, James Gunn was allowed to go to a place that I don't think a lot of other people have had that luxury to go.
It's dark. I think it's the most dark, like there's stuff that's alluded to in other movies, but it's definitely the darkest where you get to see the stuff actually happen on screen.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, Floor is but even though that she was the most visually disturbing, I would say, because I had a visceral reaction when I saw her, it was through that she still had this really sweet, endearing attitude. Almost, it was very childlike, and it kind of broke my heart to see that, the way that it was the dichotomy of how she visibly looked and probably the horrors that she had felt, but also the childlike quality and that innocence. And it hurt. Obviously, we kind of knew what was going to happen. I kind of knew from the beginning, like, oh, they're not going to make it out. And when they didn't, I know that just it wrecked me on the inside. So Floor was my favorite. That entire anything in the past, just man, that just hurts. It really does.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the movie.
I didn't know that was gonna happen, and so many reviews I've seen, they're just like, "Come on!" The minute we saw those characters, we all knew, and I was like, "It didn't hurt. It hurt. Don't want to do is get out of the cage."
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I thought it was either going to be just one of them or none of them that was going to get out of there. I thought there was going to no in between where maybe the whole group makes it. No, I was like one, and we're going to meet them later, or they all die.
So funny thing talking about getting out of the cage, because we have that shot of Rocket very early on to the movie to where he's looking at the key. So aside from watching the trailers, I didn't know really anything about this. I don't read up on, Wikipedia or any of these things. I don't watch reviews for the so I didn't really know. I honestly thought that was a piece of
the cassette.
No, Peter Quill's Walkman. I thought maybe he was
too.
rebuilding it for him or something. But then it wasn't, because it kind of looked like it could have been maybe the face of it or something. And so I was like, oh, is he gonna? And then no, but it's like, oh, okay. It's like, because again, I really knew, because let's be honest, the trailers for this really didn't give away the plot of this movie at all, which is totally fine. they were kind of just like, hey, you love the Guardians movies. This is your last time you're going to see them together. Enjoy. Or don't. We don't know. Since you've been gone. Since you've been gone. That's it.
Speaking of the beginning of the movie, something I do want to bring up is how Adam Warlock comes in and just immediately immediately takes Rocket out of commission for like a majority of the film. And also Will Poulter does a great job playing the maggot, like the kind of the Magus version of Warlock, where he's still underdeveloped and just kind of dumb, but in a very fun way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is where my lack of knowledge of Marvel stuff past like Spider-Man and Golden Age Fantastic Four comes into play. I don't think I've ever read a comic with Adam Warlock in it, so I knew nothing about this character. I knew Will Poulter as the other British kid in the third Narnia movie and the kid in We're the Millers, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
And so knew nothing about this. I thought he was really good. He wasn't in it a ton, but I mean, this is full spoilers. So by the post-credit scene, we're going to be seeing a lot more of him, which I'm excited for. And I think what I like about him is he's in, I don't want to say he's an antagonist because that's not really, I guess in just the classic sense of like an antagonist antagonizes your protagonist, he's an antagonist, but he's kind of just like a tool for someone else. Because at the end of the day, and why he ends up joining this new Guardians is because he didn't really want to do this. And I kind of do like the whole thing that like, yeah, you took him out of the chamber early. He's kind of just a kid. Like he's a kid. And they really do show that well. Of course, his whole friendship with that little like cat-like creature just kind of shows that it's just like, yeah. I thought he was great. And I really hope that they end up revisiting his character. I hope that post-credit scene lives up. I really hope it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you thought you were going to get this, but nope. Here's 4 other characters and Rocket Raccoon are your new. And it's like, oh, well, great. All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Manning.
Oh, no, what I was going to say, this is where I think, for me personally, some of the faults of this film lie. Adam Warlock, outside of getting our characters on, we know, the catalyst, the inciting incident, what happens with Rocket, he really doesn't do much. I mean, yes, of course, he saves Quill at the end, and he kind of foils the plans of the heroes every now and then. You could have easily rewritten that to be someone else. It feels like he was a character that, while Will Poulter did great, I really liked him, and I'm excited to see more of him. I feel like this, along with like, you know, maybe little stuff here and there with some of the other characters, because there's so many characters in this, and really outside of the core cast, everyone else is just kind of like, yeah, they're good, they're fine, they get the job done. And Adam Warlock and his entire thing with the what's his species name? I
the Sovereign.
Sovereigns, yeah, Sovereign.
Yeah.
They're fine. Literally just him and his mom, Elizabeth Debicki, getting that paycheck. Good on her. Yeah. But yeah, I think he is fine. Will Poulter does good. I really think you didn't really need Adam Warlock. You could have incorporated any other like high evolutionary character minion or something instead of trying to flesh out Adam Warlock as kind of like this really side character, because the movie kind of almost halted, as funny as some of his scenes were, whenever we cut to them, because they felt so disjointed from the main thing. And I kept going to be like, okay, what about the Guardians? Like, yes, he's there, but they didn't serve a purpose. I mean, they served the basic purpose, but they felt so in comparison to our main heroes. So like subsidiary plot line that really could have, we could have either shortened, condensed, but I could have lived without it. Will Poulter's good, but his storyline I feel like was underserved, and I don't know why, but he was there.
Just going off of that, Manning, I honestly wonder if, because we know Adam Warlock is introduced during one of the, I think it's 5 post-credit scenes of Guardians Volume 2.
Yep.
I wonder if that was more of a mandate from Marvel to be like, Adam Warlock's got to appear somewhere here. We've picked the Guardians movies to where he's going to appear. And maybe that's, again, this James Gunn kind of having, problems with what they did with Gamora. Maybe that's also, he's just like, well, I have to get Adam Warlock in here somewhere. Okay, I'll make him the inciting incident, and it'll pop up a couple times, and then he'll save Star-Lord at the end of this, and he's part of the New Guardians, and some other writer can take care of his characterization somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what happened.
I feel like there was like a draft of Volume 2 where Adam Warlock had more of a presence, but then, his story went in a different direction, and then finally he shows up in 3, and I can understand like hardcore fans of the character having problems with his portrayal here, just because he is the more underdeveloped version. But at the same time, my thoughts on Warlock in 3 are pretty similar to how I felt about the Sovereign in Volume 2, that they are just kind of there to be the secondary threat compared to the main antagonist, who I think is a lot more compelling of a character. And yeah, I really do think Chakudi Wuji's High Evolutionary is... I am hard pressed to call him the best Marvel villain, but he is definitely the most explicitly evil.
He's the most.
Yes.
He is the most.
He's very villain.
He's very villain.
No, Red Skull was literally a Nazi.
Yeah. Okay,
No.
But
he was too evil for the Nazis.
That's saying something. My Lord Almighty. Well, what I'll say by quickly and add is that I really do think that while he is also another character that's kind of basic, like we don't know his motivation. We know his motivation, but again, we don't know his backstory. I think Wuji does a really good job of just hamming up the Shakespearean scene of it all. He really gets into it. And that's why I say he's the most, because every scene I kept thinking like, yes, give me more of the evolutionary, because not only is he so ridiculously evil, he's so ridiculously fun to watch because Wuji puts all of his theatrics into every little inch of him. And I loved it.
And going off what Brock said earlier about him, what I do like about him is he is that, which I guess I might just be pulling from my own personal life. He's that kid in school who was a nerd, who got bullied and thought, oh, well, if I bully this nerdy kid, people won't think that I'm a nerd. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. You're still a nerd. Doesn't matter that you're picking on someone weaker than you. It does not change who you are. And I like that because Marvel is full of the baddest of badasses with villains, Thanos and Red Skull and all these guys, to Kang and all that, like they're the bad, no one could beat, and this guy is just like, no, he's a loser. And he knows he's a loser and he's trying so hard. And that's why I like the shouting thing. That's such a like classic, just in like real life. It's like, if you start shouting, trying to establish your dominance, you probably don't have much dominance to establish.
There's a word for that.
Like
it's called
that.
Overcompensating.
Yeah, you're overcompensating for something. And I like that because I think particularly, for the Guardians, I think a lot of their villains have been like that, since the first movie, which the villain's name is escaping me right now.
Ronan?
Yeah, Ronan.
The Accuser.
That was Ronan to an extent, Ronan was trying to be like, I'm better than Thanos. And, well, you're not, because at the end of the movie, when Peter Quill starts dancing, you just go, what is going on here? Thanos wouldn't be like that. And then you have Ego, who it's just like, it's kind of sad to me that his name gets lost on people, to where it's like his name is Ego because he's egotistical, guys. Like, but that's what's great about it. And so I think all three of the Guardians villains work really well because none of them are cool and none of them really are badasses. And it's kind of the point because none of our heroes are really cool. Like, let's, by one sense of person, look, Peter Quill, he's ripped. Chris Pratt put that work in, but like, Peter Quill's a loser. It's 2023 and he's still listening to 70s rock. He's not cool. Even we saw that.
What's wrong with 70s rock?
No, I'm just saying, like, he's like me. I listen to you
Am I
listen
not-
the news.
are we not-
like,
are we
I'm
not
not
cool,
listening to
Matt?
The
the coolest,
difference is
hippest
you had the
music.
availability
Hip to be
to other
square.
music for most of your life.
He has
That's true.
an iPod now.
Yes, but
Oh.
he didn't for the first 30 years of his life.
Regardless, the whole I'm just saying, but that's kind of the point of the series, and that's what I like about it is like, for as like, and we saw that in Infinity War when Peter Quill meets up with. Nothing's wrong with 70s rock. This is why I don't do podcasts, people. This is why I do video essays. This is my last podcast ever. There's nothing wrong with 70s rock. I love 70s rock. Queen is great. You know what? I had a point and now it's lost. I will try to just sum up quickly, and that's just going to be the entire thing. It's just this fucking asshole on Renegade said there's a problem with 70s rock. What's wrong with him? The point is that none of the villains are really that cool, and none of our heroes are cool, and that's why this movie series is so great, because and Rocket says as much about the villain in this movie, which is you weren't trying to improve people, you're just trying to make the world better for yourself.
The exact quote is, you're not trying to make things perfect, or you don't want to make things perfect, you just hate how they are.
And that's I think that whole storyline is really great.
And
70s rock is good.
And something that really sticks out about that line is it could describe any fandom online, or people who are discriminating towards any minorities, just like anyone who has like that superiority complex. And that's what makes High Evolutionary such a great villain, is that they are just like they're the worst kind of person, just period. And we'll get more into the last act later, but like what Brock said, seeing him get like the ever loving shit beat out of him towards the end is probably one of the most satisfying villain defeats that I've seen in a while.
It is.
Here.
Brock, just before we leave this point, you brought up a great thing to where it's like he seems all like badass when he's got his like gravity powers, and then you take that away from him, it's like you have nothing, you got nothing. This is, and again, to compare him to at least my favorite hero character in the Marvel universe is, if you stripped Steve Rogers of his super soldier serum, you still have a guy with a gigantic heart.
Mm-hmm.
And a willingness to take care of people, whereas this guy, you strip away his powers and he's nothing, and that is...
Oh, he's not nothing. He is still a douchebag.
No, well, but he's not... He has no real true power. He's just... He just likes to think he has power. Mm-hmm. Because he picks on... he punches down. We all know punching down gets you nowhere in life, kids.
So moving on to like two of the MVPs of this entire trilogy, Nebula and Gamora. I think these two probably have the best arcs out of everyone in this trilogy. But I want to start with Nebula, because she started off as an antagonist, sort of Ronin's right hand man. And then became like an important figure in the Guardians. So, Manning, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on Nebula throughout this trilogy?
It's honestly really cool that we had someone like Nebula who could have been a throwaway character and could have died in the first one, and that's it. Good job, Karen Gillan. Enjoy your paycheck. But Gunn utilized her in a way that I really like. It's the old arc of villain turns hero, and not just like a hero, like where they die a hero, but they actually live and join our heroes for the future. And it's funny now, because I think in the third one, Nebula is really the mother of the group. Like, she's the one who gets people in gear, gets them going. And whenever they're kind of like, all right, guys, we got to do this. We got to do, like, she's the one carrying Quill to ensure, after he's had a drunken night because he's just so upset. She's the one that kind of gets stuff done and literally makes Nowhere a home for the people of Nowhere, for the Guardians themselves. And I think what we had from what we saw, especially after I rewatched the first and second one recently, a few days ago, it's just amazing to see how far her character has come. And I really enjoyed what they did with Nebula. And I think Karen Gillan did a wonderful job as this really gruff and no nonsense character that slowly opens up to where it's funny, because especially when you see where Gamora and Nebula are in the third one and contrast it with the first one, it's funny to see those roles almost reversed, really, where one is obviously had their heart opened and the other person kind of had it closed, but it's only been closed because it's never was opened in the first place. Good job, time travel. But yeah, I really do enjoy what Karen Gillan and James Gunn did with the Nebula character, and she solely has one of the best arcs, maybe outside of Rocket, that we have had in the Guardians trilogy. And if you take into account also too the Avengers movies, that's even more character development.
Yeah, I forgot that like she pretty much takes over a lot of Endgame.
Yeah.
Well, the third act is unfortunately dependent upon what Thanos did to her, because if he hadn't done certain things to her, the third act doesn't happen the same way.
That's true.
Which now just reminds me of that hilarious exchange in the elevator.
Oh,
I just never noticed how black your eyes are. They were replaced by my father as a means of torture. Oh, he picked a pretty set.
Ooh, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I as well liked Nebula in this film. I think she essentially replaces Gamora's role in the family from Guardians 2. Because you remember in Guardians 2, Gamora was, as Manning said, really the mom. She was even the one to console baby Groot when her and Peter and Drax were leaving, to where she's like, we're going to be back before Rocket's finished building the ship. You know, you'll be okay. And now that's kind of Nebula is the one kind of keeping everybody together. And yeah, and look, it's funny talking about this trilogy as a whole, because it's like when I see Guardians 1, it's before I saw Doctor Who. So I didn't really know Karen Gillan as an actress, and now I know her as Amy Pond, who's like my favorite companion. And so it's cool that I'm like, oh my God, yeah, Karen Gillan's badass, and she is in these movies. And she was fantastic, and it's funny because we just talked about the villain who has to compensate for being cool and strong, and she just kind of is, and she doesn't have to be. And I don't just mean that physically, just as a character. She is a very strong character, and particularly, you know, we know her story and we know what she went through. She is she went through this tremendous trauma of particularly always feeling like she was second best to her sister, and then to go through that relationship arc with her in the second movie and everything. It's wonderful to see her. Gamora, that was a really interesting character, because it was this thing of like, she's not our Gamora. She's a Gamora pre the events of Guardians. So she never had the things happen to her that the Gamora we know. And I think that leads into Peter's story, because it is this like this weird thing of like, technically speaking, in the realms of things, that is still Peter Quill and that is still Gamora. But it does kind of show like your relationships aren't just who you are, it's the experiences you go through together. And I thought that was great. And I really liked kind of how her ending, this Gamora's ending, isn't with the Guardians, it's with the Ravengers, because that's her found family. That's the family that she has connected with and that she has built bond with. And I thought that was great, because it would have been so easy to have this movie, her story, be realizing how much she needs the Guardians and how empty she's been. And this is really, no, she found out already, which leads into the fact that they brought him back. They got him back, because James Gunn, you teased me about a movie with him leading it, and I haven't gotten it. And now that she left, I'm afraid I'm never going to get it. But she brought him back for this. Audio listeners, I'm pointing to my Expendables 3 poster with Sylvester Stallone in it, which, by the way, wasn't sure if he was going to come back. When I saw his name in the credits, I was like, yeah. And yeah, that was wonderful. So yeah, both of them were done fantastically. And I'm just going to mention this since I already mentioned the prison scene. We got to see Nathan Fillion in one of these movies, but his face isn't covered.
Yep.
And he got to play one of my favorite Nathan Fillions, which is just kind of like lovable doof.
I also just love
goof.
I
He's
love the
great.
costume that he's wearing.
It's just this giant. Like,
I love it.
it looks
It's so
almost
awkward.
like one of those like animatronic things you can see at like Universal or Disney, but without the mask on to complete it all. So it's kind of just like this is what they look like in the break room before they go out into the hot sun of Florida. I love that
Basically.
too. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, seeing Nathan
And
Fillion.
his whole thing with the guy is like, yeah, I got one of those too. It's really annoying.
Relatable. Every friend group has one of those. But yeah, going back to Nebula and Gamora, I just really like the how kind of like what you guys said. Their roles in a way kind of reversed between Guardians 2 and Guardians 3. Like Nebula has like all these years of experience with the Guardians, and kind of taking on that role of the mother figure, whereas Gamora, because time travel and all of that, doesn't have the same history. And I think the new dynamic that she has with Peter is very, very interesting. Definitely reminds me of, like, you know, a couple who has been like divorced for X amount of years, you know, especially when she says that line at the end, I bet we were fun. That certain lines like that are really powerful in this movie.
It's a very mature way to cap, for now, their relationship, or the relationship that never was in this timeline, with the character who she is now. It's a very mature response, because you're right, Matt, they could have ended it with a bow and like, oh, she's back together with him. How lovely. But no.
But I also like that Mike brought that up, because it is, you know, there is also that thing of like, who knows, but I think it's important to show that, like, oh, there is something just in the general sort of sense of the universe of love. There is something between Gamora and Peter Quill that even this Gamora can sort of understand why a different version of her would have fallen in love with this guy, even if she's not going to. And I think that is really good. And I honestly hope they never get there. I honestly was thinking it was going to happen. I'd be more interested in exploring that relationship with Nebula, because I think, you know, but again, we'll have to see who Peter Quill is. You know, we'll have to talk about that when
Matt,
we
knock it off.
meet up with him. Knock it off. But again, that when we talk about Peter Quill, I'll talk about why I like that whole storyline too.
I can't take credit for this observation, but someone on Twitter pointed out that a lot of phase 4 had to do with, like, you know, certain love interests kind of breaking up and the fallout between them. Like in Thor: Love and Thunder, we had Thor and Jane, you know, none of these couples have reunited at all. They're just sort of like they're just sort of like, you know, reconnecting and sort of exploring their post breakup lives. And I don't know, there's something about that feels very it just kind of feels appropriate given this transition phase that we're in with phase 4.
Are we in phase 4 or are we in phase 5? I don't know.
We are in phase 5, but
I gotta be honest with you guys. I only really know phase 1. I'm like, I know Iron Man to Avengers is phase 1. After that, can't tell you where it splits. And Brock, I honestly thought you were face bombing. Like, it just bent down that far. Oh my god, Matt, you don't know all the differences in the phases? Seriously?
No.
I was like, all right, fine. 70s Rock is cool, and I'll learn all the phases. I'll do it. I'll read Wikipedia tonight. I'll do it.
When it stops splitting with TV shows and all the other things, and they stopped capping it with Avengers films.
Well, once I started introducing Disney Plus into it, I was like, I'm never going to see all this, and also I'm never going to learn all these things. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Mike.
All good.
But yeah, that is a good point you bring up, that it is kind of like, is postmortem on a relationship, is that a phrase? I don't know.
It could be.
Because could we say it's exploring that? Just trying to get some buzzwords on here. Mayonnaise not here, but I'm trying to give him some stuff for work. I'm trying to be like, yeah, just throw that in there, and then I'll trademark it and I'll sue you for using my phrases.
Brock,
I'm smart.
I'm gonna throw this to you. Has there been a better example of a writer taking a story beat from some other movie and making the most out of that experience than how James Gunn handled post Endgame Gamora?
I don't know if that counts.
Say it.
If we're going within the same single amount of movies, it'll actually be something that Matt will very much appreciate. Just literally remaking the intro scene of Top Gun again in the Top Gun sequel.
It's true.
Oh,
they do.
Yeah. Even down to the transition of like the Top Gun theme to Danger Zone.
Like Top Gun I saw when I was pripes in my mid-20s. I'd never seen it until then. I knew there was a beach scene where Tom Cruise is wearing jeans because it's Tom Cruise. And I was like, whatever. And then my surrogate mom, my second mom, was like, it's my favorite movie. I'm like, all right, then for movie night, we're watching it. I liked it. And then I got chills when it happened in a theater. I was like, what just happened? I liked the first one, but it wasn't no monolithic thing to me. And that like legit gave me goosebumps. Oh man. This is going to be an in Marvel one. And other people thought it was cheesy and stupid, but I really liked it. And it's legitimately my favorite moment in a Marvel movie ever. And I had an out of body experience when it happened because give or take, like I got it, but I forgot. When they bring everyone, when they show that the snap worked and you see, now I'm forgetting her name, Linda Cardellini's. It's Hawkeye's wife. I can't think of what her actual name.
I will look up her name.
Laura?
While you do this.
Yeah, Laura something.
I'll look it up.
It would have been Laura Barton, which either way. Like, you see the phone call, so you're like, oh, it worked. They're back. And then immediately a bomb hits Avengers compound and everything's happening. So at least for me, you were not thinking about the fact that every other Marvel hero that was dead is back. And then you get to the whole thing where they try and fight all that and Cap is on his last legs. And it just proves that they just put the nail in the head of like why Cap's my favorite character of all time. Whole entire field of just thousands of troops and Cap's got a broken in half shield. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to use the straps of my shield to brace up my most likely completely fucked arm. And I'm going to go fight. I'm going to die. I don't care. And
it's Laura Barton, by the way.
Laura Barton. And then you hear the crackle over the headset of him. And then that's when my ADHD riddled brain clicked.
On your left.
I'm like, on your left. I'm like, shut up. What? And then I was like on your left. And then it's basically two moments. You get the repeat of the on your left, but Falky getting to say it to him. And then the first person through the portal is T'Challa. When one of the first people to help sit on the front lines was Cap. So redoing both of those moments, I was like, I'm getting legit chills thinking about it now. I feel very sorry for the mom and the son that were sitting next to me because I might have said some things that a child of that age should not have heard. But
that was damn, that was so fucking awesome. I can't fucking believe that they just did that. That was fucking great, Neen.
That's not there was some, but that was a really good callback. And it was but that's one of the whole where it's one of my biggest kind of gripes with Marvel movies where everyone's like, oh, look, they did the thing. I'm like, guess what? A lot of other movies do that. It just as it happens that the other movies don't have 30 movies in them. So yeah, they might have done that a couple of times. That's how comic books work. They're built on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell me comic books sometimes just repeat things that have been done previously. You just, Brock.
Did I break the code? Did I say the thing that no one wanted to? I know I'm controversial. I don't know. I'm just saying things.
I don't know, Brock. I'm on this stream. I think you'll be fine at the end of the day.
Okay, but no, like, I'm probably going to think of 6 as soon as this drops of that example. Now that, like, oh, yeah, but anyway. Yeah, those are up there. But bringing that stuff back James is always really good at stuff like that. Like and again, like having moments for everyone, bringing back a moment from another thing. You had the arrow in the movie. I don't know if this technically counts. Yondu passing away. It always was a big thing for Peter. You forget that he was also very much a father figure to Kraglin.
Yep.
And then in the movie, I was like, okay, Rooker has got to show up. It is a James Gunn rule. Until that man is in the grave, he's going to be in every single thing that James Gunn makes. And I'm like, at this point,
I can't wait for him to be Pa Kent.
It's pretty much going. It's either going to be him or he's going to be Perry White. It's going to be one of the two. Either way, I'd be happy. But then when all of a sudden I'm like, okay, he's not being anything for Peter. Why is he gonna? I'm like, and then all of a sudden nowhere's there, and I'm like, okay, now I'm just waiting on it because he's going to wreak havoc with the Yaka arrow. And sure enough, he shows up for 2 seconds, and it was fantastic. So
I do have to say,
that's another.
I never saw him father figure. I always just saw him as like best friend to Kraglin.
Well,
like
I
they
get that,
were,
but like you never got to see them outside of. Yeah, I'm glad we got that kid back from the whatever. Because like, who else did Kraglin have?
he had Yondu. That's
he was the SME to Yondu's Captain Hook.
Yeah, it was.
And there's a reason why he.
I like that.
There's a reason why he gave him, the arrow, which also leads into Cosmo.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that next.
That freaking plot thread was just the best because you never, and this is to my knowledge, again, I haven't seen all movies with talking pets. Have we ever seen one where they actually got to see the dog's perspective of being called a bad dog and how much that is bordering on a racial slur for a dog?
I don't know. Beethoven, I think, showed his annoyance sometimes.
But like to that severity of how much it would hurt to be called a bad dog for a dog. Like it blows my mind that I can't think of another example.
I don't think there are a lot of examples unless the people are like dicks that they call a dog a bad dog. Because in movies, like there's not an Air Bud movie to where it's like, Air Bud, you missed that basket. You're a bad dog. Don't say that.
It was both played for laugh, but also taken seriously. And that's why I think Maria Bakalova was the perfect choice to play Cosmo, because the delivery in after Kraglin says that, she's like, take it back.
You take that back. No, and you're right, Brock. It's one of those things to where it's like it's one of those things to where like we may not think of it, but we have those things to where it's like if one of my friends was to say Harrison Ford is the worst actor of all time, I'd be like, excuse me? I'm sorry. Mike dealt with this early in the week when he said the first Chris Reeve Superman movie isn't perfect. And I was like, excuse me, Mike? What did you just say? We all have those things, and for Cosmo, it is being called a bad dog. It's like, I am not a bad dog. You take that back. I am a good dog. You know I'm a good dog. You take it back. And I like how at first when they're playing the poker game, it's just like, no, I'm not taking it back because you're a bad dog. And yeah, people can argue, oh, I wonder how this arc's going to end. You know what? Sometimes there are just, you can easily see the sequence of A to B, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And you know what? I was waiting for it. And then when he said it at the perfect moment, I was like, yeah, you bet Cosmo's a good dog. And I want that McDonald's figure of Cosmo now.
I'm laughing so hard because I think Mike just saying the quote, the first Christopher Reeves movie isn't a perfect movie, might be the meanest film criticism I think I've ever heard Mike say in his life.
It came out of his mouth on Twitter. Okay. He didn't even respond to me when I responded to I didn't even have words. I just had the it's the James Franco gift from the interview to where he's like, I had no words for this man.
We'll talk about that some other time, but
that's
whatever.
But Manning, what did you think of the Cosmo and Kraglin hour?
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I thought it was. Listen, this is me. I think Guardians 3 is one of my favorites. It's definitely my favorite movie of Phase 5. I'll tell you that.
Bold statement.
I know, right?
Aren't there
Very
only
bold.
like 3 movies?
There's 2.
Two.
Is it 2?
Oh,
Is this the Black Panther? I think.
No, it's this
Wait.
and
Oh, is this an Ant-Man or
Quantumania.
Black?
Yep.
Oh,
Black
Black
Panther's
Panther
the
cut
last
off
one.
4. Got
See?
it. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
See, yeah, that's good
How
confusing.
much
I only
was it?
I only knew that because I looked it up on Wikipedia, Matt. So you're good.
Cool. That makes me feel.
But yes, I would never have known otherwise. I always thought it'd be the Avengers movies, but that is not the case. Actually, that break them up. They're not. The
They
final
killed it
chapters.
with Phase 2, where they ended it with
Yes.
Ant-Man 1. I'm like, why? It had nothing to
So,
do with the previous movies.
It's a
That's why I
strange
said
epilogue.
I only know Phase 1 because I know it goes
But-
from Iron Man to Avengers, and then it's done.
Anyway, Kraglin and Cosmo, good scenes. Nothing really that I was like, wow, this is some great grade A cinema. Like, I don't have an emotional attachment to Kraglin because, yeah, he's been in all 3, but he's kind of been a secondary character in all of them. And this one, he had a nice moment to really shine and save Nowhere. But other than that, I think that, he is a nice, fun side character that is just kind of there with just enough to be able to
not harp on someone who might be someone's favorite Star Wars character, but going by just the movies, he's kind of like the Wedge Antilles of the series. He's there in
Very
all of them.
good.
He
Yeah.
makes a difference in all of them, but he's a secondary character through and through.
100%.
You love Wedge.
And
Yeah,
We love
that's
Wedge Antilles.
fair.
We love Dennis Lawson, but he's,
And-
he's not. The movies don't depend on what's Wedge Antilles gonna do about this.
yes, well, that's for his solo film that he was going to have until they stopped making Star Wars films.
Well, they're bringing him back. Now.
Um,
That's the we're gonna break the story here. That's the Filoni movie. Is
don't
Wedge
tempt them.
Antilles'
God,
Star
don't
Wars
tempt
story.
them.
Of course. But no, and I think Cosmo is really Academy Award nominee Maria Bakalova. I mean, come on, like the fact that is excellent. Like, it's just only a few lines, but she does great with what she is given, and really is kind of like just the way she embodies with her voice. It just kind of kills me every time to think, wow, that's the Academy Award nominated actress.
I
from
honestly
Borat,
thought
subsequent
Manning
movie
was
film.
building up
I
that
love it.
she should get an Academy Award nomination.
Oh,
for
no.
Cosmo. I was like, really? I mean, I like the
cameo?
voice, but
No.
really?
Yeah.
No.
What was she nominated for?
Oh, Borat subsequent movie film.
That's
great.
her.
Yes.
Okay,
It's great.
I was like, I don't know. It's actually everyone's talking about her. That's who she is.
Yes.
Nice.
Great nomination, by the way. Super cool.
Oh, I
Super
love
cool.
the fact that Borat subsequent movie film, like Jackass, Bad Grandpa, is an Oscar nominated film.
Yeah, for
It's amazing.
an actress. Like, come on, that's great.
Yeah, that's.
I also
hey,
did not know
great
that
in
was
movie,
that was the
honestly.
subtitle of the movie. I knew it got another one, but until now, I did not know that's what it was called.
Oh, what Borat
Well,
subsequent
it's-
movie film? I can't wait till they
Yes.
make a third one.
Ah,
And they're
first,
gonna
second
have
one's
to.
They
better than
have
the
to make a
first.
third one.
Well, that's the thing,
You gotta
though.
wait.
He
Gotta
said
wait,
that
but-
he thinks that he can't do them anymore in like real life situations because there was some interview where he said he's almost genuinely scared at certain points that he might not be able to get away with doing
Yeah.
them anymore.
Well, that's
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of my favorite things is that when he first tries to go on the street, everybody just knows Borat. Like I
Yep,
just
and
love
that's
that
the problem.
they reference the fact that like this is difficult to make these movies now because it's not 2003. Everyone knows who I am and knows these characters.
Yep, that's the
But
problem.
back to Guardians.
Anyway, yes.
Yes.
Cosmo. is
Overall,
good dog.
Cosmo's great. Good dog. Kraglin's good. They're not the highlights, but they're not detractors by any stretch of the imagination.
They're the inverse of Adam Warlock for Manning Frakes.
Yeah, they're the inverse, where they don't detract, but they're good. Instead of being good, but detracting.
What you didn't like that
I
he
got
showed
you.
up
I got you,
every
man.
about 35 minutes went ah and then went back away.
Yes, I loved that. My favorite part, actually.
I was not prepared for that. Just
That's essentially what he does every time. He goes up, wrecks someone, and then all of a sudden a car, a ship, something hits him, and then he leaves.
Exactly.
Will
was
Poulter
like-
is just sipping some tea somewhere offside. It's like, oh, is it my time now? Ah!
That's pretty much what it was. 'Cause it was like, okay, he comes in, he wrecks Rocket. Cool. All right, he's gonna come in, see the Guardians there. Oh no, Gamora's on the ship, but we need to stall her for 10 minutes. Here comes the plot inconvenience. Boom! And then he's gone again. And then
he is a
recreates
plot
that-
device.
Yeah, he recreates that freaking photo of the finger touch when he's in space. That was about the most epic thing he did.
I was not prepped for that, and I was
wasn't
like,
either.
Creation
neither.
of Adam, or the
this-
creation of
all
Quill.
right, okay.
Anyway.
Oh my god, wait, that's his name.
So the two characters we haven't talked about yet.
Lord.
The two characters we haven't talked about yet are Mantis and Drax. I got no notes. They're perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like Kevin Feige said it, and like during the interview, I've kind of like expunged on this. Like Dave is one of the most just like doesn't get his flowers enough, talented, like actually
so
works his
good.
ass off actors ever. And I said this to Mike during our review, and I'll say it wholeheartedly. He's the best wrestler turned actor there is.
Oh,
He
really?
actually plays different characters. As much as I like Dwayne, I grew up watching him a lot. 99% of what he does is the same guy with a different smirking shirt. Like,
What's
there's
the
a-
1%?
like that when he faster, he didn't talk in that movie.
Oh, I haven't seen Faster, so that's the 1%. That's the top 1% of the
Faster
top
is
1%.
genuinely where he really tries. Almost no one saw it, and I don't blame them.
I'm sorry,
I kind of
missed
forgot
what-
it existed until I had to make an example just now.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Dave being really talented, and Kevin Feige said he's one of the most talented actors they have. I'm like, he generally works his ass off and tries really hard, and will openly admit to people that he is trying and he's not perfect yet. And I was saying during my review with Mike, I'm like, he's head and shoulders above the best wrestler turned actor there is, and he's had the least experience.
I said this in our review that out of all the actors or wrestlers turned actors, he will be the first one to win or to at least be nominated for
Right.
an Academy Award.
I think some of you have missed the classic Mr. Nanny starring Hulk Hogan.
I did, and I keep my statement the way that it is.
Same.
Because I don't know if you, sir, saw the Fred movies, but that's Oscar contention.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
right. John
Well,
Cena.
Sir?
listen, I give John Cena props for Peacemaker. I'll give him that.
Oh, Peacemaker's are phenomenal.
I'll give him props.
Yeah, he can't win an Oscar, but he should really win
No.
an
And,
Emmy
like,
for that
so-
show at some point.
Certain parts of Trainwreck, like him being in the movie theater,
Yeah.
and he's like, "That's your Mark Wahlberg. I look like the guy that ate Mark Wahlberg." Like certain moments like that, he's hilarious.
I don't know
Great
if anybody
comedic
else
chops.
remembers this movie, but he is really funny in Sisters with Tina Fey and Amy
drug
Poehler.
dealer?
I
haven't seen
remember.
that.
I
Where
remember
he's
that
the
movie.
drug
He was-
dealer, and at the end he's just like, whatever his name is, like, I'm gonna go work TSA tomorrow. I can party.
Just how ridiculous. He's got the unbelievable amounts of tattoos. And he literally is just a cardboard cutout standing there like, we got this MDMA, this, that.
John Cena is really funny, and I really like that he's accepted. He's like, oh, I don't have to have this. I'm a badass wrestler anymore. He can just be kind of budding goofy.
Mhm.
But yeah, Dave Bautista, he's great. I love Drax. I think he's wonderful. I love the whole thing of you were never a good destroyer. You were a good father, because it's
Mhm.
from the literal beginning of this series. His whole revenge tour was to save his family, yeah, or avenge his family. And so, yeah, like I just think that's really sweet, because you saw that in Guardians 2. You saw, these, he talks about his daughter with Mantis, about how childish she is, and he's like, you remind me of my daughter. And it is really sweet, that whole thing at the end with the kids when he's doing the monkey sounds and everything. It's nice to, because I think very often sometimes there's this thing in movies to where the really tough, and we see it a lot. Like Dave Bautista was even in a movie that was this, which is My Spy or something like that, to where it's like the really tough, cool, badass guy is gonna get paired with a kid and wacky shenanigans are gonna happen.
about
It's
that
just
movie.
like, I like more like this, or like the Kindergarten Cop, to where it's like, no, you can still be a cool, badass person, but like you can also just have wonderful paternal instincts towards young kids.
Mhm.
Like there is a Venn diagram where they go together. You don't have to be a wacky guy to do it, and I really like that. And I think Bautista pulls it off well. I have to be honest. I think outside of his work in the MCU, from my knowledge, the only thing I've seen him is his short appearance at the beginning of Blade Runner 2049,
So
which
good.
he's great in.
Yes.
But I just simply based on not having seen a lot, I can't agree with you guys. I'm like, oh, he's going to be the first wrestler turned actor to get a nomination. You know, like.
Did you see Glass Onion, Knives Out?
No,
story?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
He's very good at that.
But that's what I'm saying. I just can't agree with that because like he's great as Drax.
Fair.
He was really good in that, but like neither one of those am I like, that's an Oscar-winning actor right there. But,
I think it's more of the speaks to the pool of wrestlers turned actors out here than it does, I think, to his skill at. I don't think he's ever going to win one. I mean, watch me eat my words, and he gives me the best Oscar-winning performance in like 2024.
His speech is going to be, "You listen here, Manning Franks. I saw your review of Guardians 3.
When he cuts a wrestling promo on your ass,
look at it.
I'll be like,
no, it's not even that. Manning's
you know
just going to knock at the door. It's just gonna be Dave Bautista. Has anyone here seen Jay and Bob Strike Back?
Yeah,
because it's just gonna be that, but he's just gonna beat Manning with the Oscar.
Yeah, he's just
I couldn't win it, huh?
Door. Manning, you asshole!
I'll just be like,
I do have to say though, since we're on Dave Bautista being great, that thing he did for Netflix on April Fool's Day, Dave Bautista's comedy special. If you have not seen it,
it's great.
It is.
It's great.
Manning.
It is.
Because Netflix is very famous for doing this for Netflix. They put out a promo for Dave Bautista's comedy special, and it is like I would watch a full hour of this actually if it existed. You have to watch it. It is fantastic and does show that he has a great sense of humor. But yeah, he's wonderful. Were we also talking about Mantis or just Drax?
We were talking about Mantis as well.
Mantis
slipped into Dave only.
The actress's name is escaping me right now.
Tom Clementoff.
She's really good. And she, I think I like how going back to the holiday special, I like how they grew her character a little bit more in that she is really kind of the lead of that short, I guess you would call it, because it's not a movie.
Special.
Special. She's really good, and I really liked her story at the end of she kind of spent her whole life in service of other people, and now it's kind of time. Like she never had an opportunity to be her own person because she was either Ego's like I guess handmaiden, assistant.
She was basically Ego's sleeping pill to a degree.
Or she was a member of the Guardians. That she went from one to the other. She had no overlap to where it was, she's Mantis. And I like that ending that now she's going to go and discover who that is. And I like how she is the antithesis to most, if not all, the Guardians, to where they're kind of very much punch first, ask questions later. She's like, maybe they're not bad. Let's see. And then those creatures aren't bad. They don't want to be here either. They don't want to do this either. And that's great.
Need batteries. They don't need people.
She is the empath of the group, and what I really like about her arc is that it is relatable in that sense of like people like her like put other people's needs like before themselves, and that isn't always like the healthiest thing to do. And I'm glad that by the end of this film she kind of realizes, I need to think about what I want. I think that's a message that we can all learn every now and then.
Yeah, that is for sure. She's never the person that's forced into the front of stuff, but she's always good in whatever she is asked to do in the films, which is nice. It's nice to have just a backdrop character that can kind of be there when they need to. And Palm's very good at just filling that. She's also becoming another one of the, if James does a movie, she's just there. Because she's in the Suicide Squad for roughly 5 seconds. And she's one of the background kind of like barely clothed woman character in the bar in the Suicide Squad. She's there for like a couple of shots. She's just on a table. That. Yeah.
Speaking of,
I think she's in Peacemaker too. I think.
She might be. But speaking of the Suicide Squad, do you know who the receptionist is in the Orgo Corp?
Yeah, it's
the actress who plays Ratcatcher 2.
Yep.
Manning, you had it,
Yes.
and you're muted.
And
Oh,
muted.
I was thinking of the other
Rat
one.
catcher,
I was thinking of
please.
hardcore is because you said reception, the one who was on the mic the whole time.
Um,
Who's James Gunn's wife in real life.
yeah,
Oh yes, I forgot about her.
I-
But yeah, I'm gonna look her name up right now. I don't know her name, but the Ratcatcher too.
Yeah. The source of incredibly dumb
Daniela
comments.
Melchior or
Melchior?
Melchior,
Something like that?
Melchior,
I
Melchior,
think.
yeah.
I'm
I think it's Melchior.
Melchior. All right, Daniela Melchior. So
Like
that's who it is.
I knew that immediately when she first showed up. Like, oh wow, so James Gunn really is using pretty much all of the actors, that he's like used in the past. That's something I really like about Gunn.
Mhm.
It's not uncommon for directors to have a troupe of actors, composers, a co-writer that they will frequently collaborate with, and it's fun to see the people that James Gunn likes to use
Well, yeah, that's
throughout his
Nathan
films.
Fillion again. He's another one of those who just
Yep.
pops up in all of James Gunn's work in some shape or form.
Are you guys trying to
It's just
say that
works.
there's people that show up in every one of his movies other than his wife, therefore making that argument unbelievably dumb? Surprise,
Wow.
Macaulay Culkin face! Oh!
Also, the fact that they weren't married when he first cast her, I believe.
No, they were the whole time. That's the only reason she's in any
whole
movie.
time.
Have you not
Whole
seen the
time?
internet?
Why is it every time someone says the whole time, I think of Sally Field from Mrs. Doubtfire? Was you the whole time? The whole time?
The whole time?
Sally Field's great. Why isn't she in a Marvel movie? Kevin Feige.
Because she was.
Why didn't you bring back her Aunt May? You could have.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
Where was her and Rosemary Harris? You could have done it. Could have.
Rosemary Harris alive?
Rosemary Harris is still alive.
Oh, she is still?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
90
Nice.
something.
There you
Good on
go.
her.
Come on.
Dang.
Where?
Good for
Where
her.
were they?
And she
That's
was
who
on-
I
and
was
she was
waiting
on-
for.
Yeah.
And she was like doing a play or something in her
A
90s
theater.
still. So.
Awesome.
Theater.
That's spectacular.
Good on her.
Good for
Yeah,
her.
good on her.
Nice. That's awesome.
I'm not confirm if things happened in the past. Okay, we're good. We're good. 95.
95. Nice. She's a new
That's
one
the
I'm cheering
unfortunate
for.
thing is sometimes, look, we all thought Betty White was making 200. Unfortunately, sometimes we think, and then
Sure.
we have to reconfirm. And unfortunately, Google tells us the bad news.
Hey.
It's like I can't tell you how many people don't think Clint
Y'all-
Eastwood is alive.
Y'all,
still.
she was
Think he's still
literally you guys know the show Search Party?
Yeah,
Can't
Oh,
say
yeah.
that I do.
Well, she was on 2 episodes last year and 94 years old.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
She's still
That's
working.
amazing. She looked 86 in 2000. When did Spider-Man come out?
2002.
Yeah, that's if we ever talk about those Spider-Man movies on the board, I gotta talk about both great actors. But unfortunately, Aunt May and Uncle Ben become more grandma and grandpa to me in that movie.
That was one thing. I know we're going on a tangent. Everyone
Yes.
flipped their shit when Marissa Tomei was casted as Aunt May. She was 50. I'm sorry that for once we gave him someone that was Aunt May that didn't look like his great-grandparent.
Whoa. You shut your mouth about Sally Field.
Hey, don't bring Rosemary Harris down like this, y'all. Come on.
I'm not saying it as a bad thing, but everyone's like, they have to look 60 and above or it's wrong.
I mean, it's looking back at the comics now, it's like, why do they draw them so
It's always
elderly?
I
it's
don't get it, but
Sorry,
Speaking
yeah,
of-
Mike.
speaking of age, there was a funny line exchange between Peter and Mantis where Mantis is talking about like the family that Peter left behind on Earth, and Peter says something about his grandpa, like he's like 90 or something. He's like 90 or something, and then Mantis is like are people still alive at this age? And Peter's like, people die when they're like 50. She says like, are you about to die? I'm not turning 50.
How old do you think I am?
Love that.
That is also lines like that or else I love, because that is you get reminded a lot throughout this series that Peter Quill left Earth when he was like what, 8, 9?
Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
So like his understanding of like Earth is still it's something else that another movie which I love, the original Jumanji with Rob Williams, the character of Alan. It's like their understanding of the world is still from when they're kids because of what happens to both of them. They don't get to grow up and go through all the things that we all do and
Yep.
understand the world like we do. And I like that. I like that, yeah, when you're a kid, like 50 is 100. Like it's the same thing to you, like
They're in a state of arrested development.
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
And
I have
we'll get to the scene at the end that, at least the first time I saw the movie, made me cry like a baby. But yeah, they really do kind of build up in this movie to Peter learning that part of growing up is learning that you can't just run away from your problems.
Mhm.
Which is kind of something that both he and Rocket learned by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will say I think that's the strong aspect. Like Quill has had his moment, I think, in Volume 2 to really have his depth. This one, it's not necessarily a Quill centric movie. The second one really was. This one, not as much. This one definitely feels more the Guardians, more so than I think. Well, okay, the first one did feel like it was the Guardians, but this one felt more so like Gunn did a good job really balancing everyone to ensure that everyone had a good arc. But really, it was Rocket too, because he is the centerpiece. He is the one that they're, saving. He's I don't want to say he's the MacGuffin, but they're trying to save him and get
He
what
pretty much
they
kind of
can.
is.
Yeah,
He kind of is, but he's more. He's
the
more than
focal
just a
point.
MacGuffin.
Yeah, well, he gets to
Focal
do
point.
both,
I like
but-
that.
In the
He
same
gets
way
both.
Quill was of the first two, and when I bring this up, people are going to be like, how do you mentally connect these two trilogies together? But what I like about it is that not that Peter Quill's story is done, but his necessity to be the focal point is kind of done at the end of Guardians 2, which allows Rocket to be the focal point of this one. It's kind of like how in the Mighty Ducks trilogy, Gordon Bombay is the focal point of the first two, and then his story is kind of wrapped up at the end of 2, leading to Charlie being the focal point of the third movie. And Gordon's still there and he still has his story. But I like when they do that. I like when they don't try to force more story onto a character who doesn't really need more story as a focal point. And that's what they did here. And that's great. I know Peter Quill, for a lot of people, is a very divisive character, at least from what I've seen in the discourse on, once again, Twitter, which we have spoken about before, is kind of a bubble. I think know,
also a lot of the damage happened in Avengers. We'll just say
it is.
Even pre that, I felt like I remember when Guardians 2 came out, this like disdain for the character of Peter Quill existed, which is really weird because he's always for a while he was my favorite Marvel character. And I still really like his character, and I like what they did with his story. As I talked about when I was talking about Gamora, I like that he thinks he has to get back together with Gamora. That's going to solve all of these issues I've been having as I lost the love of my life. She's back in my life. She's different, but I just got a reminder that we're in love, and she's going to feel we're in love, and we'll be back to the way things were. And then this understanding that, no, I don't need this. Like, there is a connection I need, but it's not romantically. It's this connection that I left behind all these years ago. And I love that. I love that final scene and even the post-credit scene, because that is what he kind of needed. He's, in a weird way, at least for right now, he's gone as far as he can in the sort of galaxy and sort of the Marvel world, that he needs to come back and deal with the stuff he left behind when he was 8. Because people have talked about that, just in discussion about, like, we don't really think about what was it like for his grandfather that on the night he lost his daughter, he cannot find his grandson anywhere. Like, I don't know what he thinks happened to him, Does he think he just ran off? And well, he definitely probably ran off, but like, to just never hear from him. And that's why I think it's great that, like, he doesn't need to be Star-Lord now. He needs to be Peter Quill. I think that's probably better. Just that he's gone as far as he can as Star-Lord. Now he needs to be Peter Quill. And yeah, and it's really like, it's sweet, like when, his, I guess that would be his grandfather's girlfriend or maybe wife. I don't know if I saw wedding rings on them, but that romantic partner. And I like how she just kind of knows that that's Peter, that's because she's probably definitely at her, and his grandpa. I love that. It's just like immediately there's just this love that he has, that like he's gotten him back. And then yeah, the stinger in the second post-credit scene to where he's like, well, then you have to cut grass. Like, that's great.
By the way, how cool is it that that this is one of the first like big media things to feature Magic Spoon just in the just casually in the background.
I didn't even I don't internet, so I didn't even recognize that. I know what it is. A couple of YouTubers I follow have been sponsored by it, but I have to, unfortunately, to those YouTubers, I have not followed your links to get a free month of Magic Spoon.
It was one of those things where, like, when the movie was done, we sat, like, you got the one thing. There's one thing I want to ask also that was the weird first that this movie got that they made a deal of mentioning. But this, when that post-credit scene came up and it was the second one, I was like, cool, what's this gonna mention? And then, like, I kind of didn't hear what they said about, like, some 45-year-old man mowing the lawn. I thought for, like, some weird way someone was going to show up, like, in the door. And then they, like, I was waiting. I'm like, and then it just went to white. I'm like, no, I misheard them. He was talking about Peter. And then and then my friend turned to me, was like, what was the point of that credit scene? I'm like, no, that was actually kind of a big deal. He's like, why? Because Peter's never got to do that. He's never got to just sit and have an awkward conversation with his grandfather as an adult. That was actually a big deal. All of us take for granted that we could just pop over for 5 minutes, be like, yep, okay. And then, in Wisconsin, it takes, oh, hey, 5. Hey, that's crazy. Oh, no ways. And then I finally get to leave the conversation. But that's something people take for granted, that you don't get to have that. Peter finally did. James Gunn is really good at thinking of, this is a big deal for him. Not everybody. You might have to think about it, but it's a big deal.
It's mundane for us, but for Peter, it is mundane, but it's also like the fact he gets to do that is nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I brought this up in our other review, but I was around Peter's age when I lost both of my grandfathers. I was like 8 when I lost my grandpa on my dad's side. I was turning 10 the month that I lost my grandpa on my mom's side. So that's why when I saw the ending of that the first time I saw the movie, I was just a wreck, because just the thought of getting to see like either one of them after like 30 plus years is something that I would love to see either one of them again, but obviously that would never happen.
Well, I think kind of building off that, but in a different way, because I was very close to, unfortunately, my dad's father passed away a couple of months after I was born, so I didn't really get to know him. But I was very close to my mom's dad, and it's not so much, like you said, like, I would love to see him again, but it's more so this nice thing of Peter doesn't have to live in a world to where the last time, he didn't have to come back to Earth to a tombstone. He gets to build a relationship that he missed out on for all these years. That's the great thing, is that he gets the opportunity that you and I had,
Mm-hmm.
That's, and that's great. And yeah,
the weird first I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is it?
That they brought it up before the movie came out. So when I almost had a weird pretext of when I was expecting it to happen, was the F-bomb.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a huge deal that this was the first NC movie with F-bomb. But you know what? Fit the moment.
It did.
It fit the moment.
It did. But
I was weirdly expecting it to be from a group of like a selection of 5 different people at the High Evolutionary. That's what I was expecting, since I knew. That's why it gave me the weird pretense, because I heard that it was coming.
It's one of those things to where the internet builds up things that, like we all said,
That it does.
It felt
Yeah.
almost natural that
Yeah.
in that same scenario, any one of us would have dropped the F-bomb in that
Mhm.
same way, you know?
The best
And
part about that is, speaking of when Peter left Earth, that was still a problem for people back then of unlocking and trying to open the door at the same time. So we would have known that frustration.
Not wrong, honestly.
the fucking car.
So it kind of
And I
fits.
just love Chris Pratt's delivery of it too.
Open the fucking door.
That's great.
Oh, it was,
Let's just
it
be
was
honest. Chris
weird.
Pratt, I don't care what you say about the character of Peter Quill. Chris Pratt was perfectly cast in that role.
Oh, for sure.
Because he
Absolutely.
played, like I said, that moment, that F-bomb feels so natural. Because of how he plays it.
Like the frustrated dad who just wants to get on the road, but things are not going his way.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty certain if you went through the Rolodex of my mind as a child, probably the first person I heard drop the F-bomb as an infant was my father.
Yes.
And probably very similar scenario, trying to go on a family trip with my two sisters who were only a couple years older than me. Probably was like, get in the fucking car.
I don't know.
Pretty much. Now, do you guys think that's going to be a thing that happens a lot now that we've got one? Or that was
No.
kind of James fought for it and then we're done?
That's
'Cause
James
that's how
Gunn.
I feel.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think the next time we get one is if Deb. I don't know. I'm just saying Wolverine is definitely going to say it because it's. Although that's not going to be PG-13.
It's rated
movie, I
R.
would assume.
It's rated
So
R.
never mind.
Yeah.
Because I was
It
going to
will.
say Wolverine always gets to drop the one in a PG-13. I honestly don't know. I hope
Won't be
they
the one.
don't. I hope that it's kind of like how people like to joke about, oh, Revenge of the Sith is a PG-13 movie, so they could have dropped a curse. Where would you have put the curse? And it's like, anytime you see one of those, it's funny, but it's like, yeah, they didn't put it in because it's not needed. Here, like we all said, in this scenario, in the Hein, it just rolls naturally that Peter Quill, I know it had to have been Peter Quill, because honestly, I don't think like words like that got to Nebula or Drax or
Definitely not
Mantis
Drax.
or I mean,
Yeah.
for all we know, maybe Groot's been dropping them this whole time.
That was the other thing that my roommate said. He's like, how great would it have been if the only other word besides I am Groot was fuck?
No, but
That
can
would
we
be
talk about
hilarious.
that was a really wonderful moment.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Groot,
great.
And
where
I
Groot says,
almost
I love you guys.
you.
I
Right.
almost feel like in the context of the universe, he still says I am Groot, but it's
Yeah.
one of those things where
Yes.
James Gunn brings you in. It's like
You heard it
in the
this time.
same way that by Return of the Jedi, Princess Leia knows what R2 is saying. You've now spent so much time with this character, you can understand and know what he's saying.
100%.
I think that was exactly the
Yeah.
intent.
And I really like that,
Yeah.
A couple rapid fire things I want to bring up. John Murphy's score was really good.
Yeah, the scores unfortunately get overlooked in the Guardians movies because the soundtracks are
Yes.
built into the narrative, which are great. But the scores since the first movie are fantastic in this series.
My one
For sure.
thing about the soundtrack this time, and maybe it's because the difference between Volume 3 and the first two is that Peter doesn't really have a personal connection with the Zune that he did with his Walkman.
Yeah.
So to some extent, the music,
And that 70s music, that is awesome because 70s music is awesome.
yes,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I think just the way the needle drops were placed in this movie felt different.
Yeah. And Mike, I asked you this in our review. They only typically had 4 to 5 needle drops in the past movies. This one I felt had like 20. Because
Damn.
That was a lot.
like every time they started the ship, a song played for 2 seconds. So it felt like it kind of dulled some of the ones that played longer. Like No Sleep Till Brooklyn is one of my favorite continuous shots in a movie ever.
Yeah,
That was
fantastic.
fantastic.
So well done.
So I was like, why were you
Sleep.
just kind of needed to have every time you started up the ship a different song played for 2 seconds? I
Well,
thought
I
that was
think-
kind of weird.
I think from what I'm probably gonna butcher because I get them mixed up. especially after watching the first one. The first one had a lot of uses of like was it diegetic or non-diegetic? I can't recall.
I think it's
Oh,
I think
shoot.
it's diegetic.
Non-diegetic sound is when you interject
I
a
get them
sound that's
mixed
not
up.
naturally there. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Yes.
I get them mixed
Yeah.
up, but we'll go with diegetic because in this case, because they're actually playing in the actual, he's actually turning
Yeah.
it on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the first one, it felt like we were actually looking at his personal playlist. So you're right,
Yeah.
it did have a personal touch to it. The first one, I think overall worked the best. Each song worked the best overall. 2 had some really nice moments, especially the beginning, which again, diegetic sound because they're actually playing it and
Yeah.
it worked, it fit. And those are the moments I think where the songs are the best, when there's actually a reason for them to actually exist because they're actually playing or listening and not just them like
in
Go ahead.
volume 2, the scene between Ego and Peter when he's listening to Brandy
Yes.
again,
Brandy.
and
Yes.
Ego talks about how we're the sailor in the song, you know, like he makes a personal connection to the song.
Those are the moments that really make the when it becomes a part of the story, when it becomes a part of the narrative, that's when the soundtrack really works for me. And there wasn't many as much in volume 3. They felt more like filler. I will say the last one, which I didn't think I would like, "The Dog Days Are Over," because it's more of easily one of those modern songs, if not the most modern song that has been played in all the Guardian movies. But it works so well because it is such a cathartic moment after these 3 films that they've been through, where they're literally dancing and celebrating. And I already love Florence and the Machine, so this was such a well-deserved moment, and I think is one of the best uses of a song, only because of what it means. From getting to the first shot of Guardians of "Come and Get Your Love," which again, great callback, up until where they are now, and it is kind of the celebration of their free, as free as you can be.
And going back to the needle drops really connected to the story, that feels very much to what Ain't No Mountain was in the first movie, to where it is this like, we're a family now, we're a weird thing. We don't know what we're gonna be, but we're gonna get to this together. And I do love that, and that is, I will agree. I think volume 1 and 2 incorporate the songs into the story a little bit more naturally. Having said that, they're still great. I'm still gonna pick up this soundtrack. Oh yeah, there are some great ones, but you are right. When I think of like "Come and Get Your Love," I think of Peter putting his heads on and turning his Walkman on. When I think of Brandy, I think of, either Ego and Peter's mom's name is escaping me, but I think of them driving the car at the beginning, and then Peter and Ego talking about how they're the sailors in the song. In this one, and again, I only saw it the first time, I don't really have a connection to one of the songs to like a story point or a moment like I do the other ones. Although "Come and Get Your Love," I thought that was great, and I love the whole setup to where they're like talking about their favorite song, and Rocket's like, this has always been, one of Quill's favorites, and just puts it on, and it's like, okay, fine, I see what you did there, James Gunn. You're really just trying to kill us that this is the end of this series for now. Okay, thank you.
So it looks like we're coming towards the end of this discussion. Any final thoughts that you guys have? Manning, I'll start with you.
My final thought would just be is that the Guardians of the Galaxy films, it's no secret, I'm not at least in the current state, the Marvel Cinematic Universe really isn't for me in the direction that they're going. Not because they're doing anything bad or wrong. It's just, I'm kind of like, okay, it's just too much. But if you're looking at these three core Guardians films, they tell a complete story, and Gunn, literally in his iteration anyway, is telling a story of this found family. They're a team, but they're a family first. And after watching them this past week and just seeing, how he incorporates himself also into it, it feels very personal too. And not every Marvel film can say they feel as personal as these do. And I'm just appreciative that we have them, because while I may not watch every Marvel film going forward, these Guardians films are ones that I will always have been excited about. Like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is one that I was super pumped to see. I was excited because of how much I love the other two. And this one is no exception. I'm not going to rank them because I don't know how to do that, because they're all the same, but they're all different at the same time. And I'm not going to try to do that because I love them all. I like as children in a way. And obviously they're not, because I didn't make them. But Gunn, I have such respect for completing his vision. It's like a goodbye. He gave his love letter to this beautiful ragtag group of people. And I'm excited to see what, if we never see them again, I will be fine. Well, I won't be fine, but I will accept it. I don't know if we're going to be getting them. I would like maybe a break from the Guardians just for a bit. Let them rest. They've had their time in the sun. Maybe bring them back for the crossover, but no Guardians for maybe like 10 years. We had a long break already between this one and the two. Let's have some
6
time to
years.
let them rest. I know, right? It was, and I was telling
Three
like
Spider-Man movies.
a whole three a Spider-Man trilogy in between this, guys, between these two movies.
So nuts.
Crazy. But yeah, I'm just happy that this trilogy exists, and it's probably one of my favorite things that Marvel has done. It's not a perfect trilogy, but it's perfect in the way that it showcases the characters first. It's less focused about the Marvel universe as a whole and more about just the story of these characters. And I give Gunn all the props just for, I will take a swing and a miss sometimes if not being perfect. And he swung, and while there may be misses here and there, it's overall a home run in my mind.
Well said. Brock, what about you?
Oh, it's no secret that obviously I said it was my favorite trilogy before this was the Spider-Man films, because I enjoy a movie if it's got a really good villain, and guess what? They knocked it out of the freaking park every single time in every one of those movies. But and yeah, I've had, like I said, bordering on tailored for me moments and plot points in every single one of them, so they're all really good. And James knows how to make you feel like you're a part of a family in a movie, which makes me really excited that he's going to work on things that are based around having large families in almost every single big aspect of that universe.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But that's just me dreaming big and hoping stuff goes well. But yeah, between these, I like them all. They're all good. Perfect? No. Like I said, you had a slight venomization of freaking
Adam
Warlock in this one. Kind of felt weird, but
Good
yeah.
descriptor, Brock.
Yeah, thanks. That's the only way I could really come up with it. It's kind of what happened. But yeah, it's good. This one, 2 is my favorite because, again, I've never left a theater crying, needing to tell someone that I love them after a movie before. I've never had that effect. I mean, I'm probably never going to have it happen again. So 2 is my favorite. 1 and 3 are weird because there's a lot of good payoffs in 3, but 1 also has just a lot of great moments in it. And yeah, they're all really good. And it just makes me excited for stuff to come in the future. James is a great storyteller. He is a great writer. And he is an unbelievably creative person that I'm happy to see whatever he works on. So yeah.
Matt, what about you?
So I said, and I discussed it, I don't think ever on here, but after Avengers Endgame, I said I think my time of, which I always called from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame, collect them all, to where I had to watch everything. I needed to see everything, even if it wasn't in viewers. I had to watch it before the next thing was kind of done. And he said there are 2 series that I'm most definitely going to keep up with, and that was Ant-Man and Guardians. And Guardians 3 knocked out of the park for me. I thought it was wonderful, and I really love the dynamic of these characters, and I love that you think it's going to go one way. I have to be honest with you. I thought, like many others, well, there's no way this movie ends with all the Guardians still alive, and yet it did, and it didn't feel cheapened. It actually would have felt cheapened if they killed Drax or if they killed Rocket, which, yeah, I'll be the first to say I thought he was dead. I thought that moment when he sees his friends again, I thought that was it. And then they pulled the old, I always think of the Frighteners when it's like, oh, you're here, but it's not your time. I'm going to push you back to the real world, which is fine. I thought, again, like I said, I need to watch this movie again. But I had a really great time, and I think the Guardians series is to a very high quality. And yeah, are they all maybe 12 out of 10 movies? Maybe not. Do they have some faults in them? Sure, but I kind of think that's the point. I think they're movies in a cinematic universe that is full of the best people, whether it is a Steve Rogers or it is a Captain Marvel, or Thor or something, to have a series that is based around the outcasts, that is based around the normal people who become heroes. It's great and it's wonderful, and I'm really excited to revisit it whenever that is, whether it's in theaters again or if it's when it comes out on Blu-ray. I believe me, this is going in my collection along with the other two, and I'm sure I'll look forward to at some point doing a day where I binge watch all three of them together. So good time.
I think one thing that I love about this trilogy is that even like within the larger tapestry of the MCU, you can still enjoy these three movies, and yeah, I'll even include the holiday special too, as like its own kind of self-contained narrative from start to finish.
Yeah.
James Gunn is he is a great writer and a great director, and while none of these movies are perfect, kind of like what we all firmly established, the imperfections are to the benefit of these characters and their story. And that's what makes this trilogy special. That's what puts them in like that upper echelon of movies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy or the Dark Knight or the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. It just has that very unique touch that only James Gunn could have brought to these characters, and I look forward to what he brings to the DC universe, because before Marvel, I was always a DC kid, like, so to see what he accomplished with the Guardians films, I am ecstatic to see what he brings to Superman Legacy and all of that. But that is a story for another day. For now, before we head out of here, Manning, where can everyone find you online?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Cine_Man. That's CINE_MANN. It's right there. It's right there. I was like, it's right here on my mirrored effect. We can't stand it. But you can also find me on WFMY News 2, Greensboro, so the local CBS affiliate in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I do movie reviews once a week on Thursdays. So we are live on Facebook and live on YouTube, and they're also posted later for y'all's consumption, where you will find out if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is 2 approved. It's our little fun little way to say thumbs up, and it is in fact thumbs up, so as what you can kind of guess.
Because Siskel and Ebert trademarked your thumb going up or down.
Thumbs up or down. We're too we are too clever. We're WFMY News 2. Of course, we have to incorporate 2 approved in there somewhere. So,
and Matt, where can everyone find you?
I don't know. After the spur of the moment thing I said about 70s music, I should put out my things, but you can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter, Matt Movie 611 on YouTube, and also on Take 3 Productions, where I am the host of the Fandom Podcast, the host of Second Look, a video essay series where I talk about movies that I think are either underrated, under-talked about, or overhated, and episodes in the works on 2008 Speed Racer. That should be coming out, I want to say, before the end of the month, but I honestly can't give any guarantees. I am also the co-host of the podcast Simple Tricks and Nonsense with my buddy Abe Flores. It is something. We get on StreamYard and we hit go live and we just see what happens over the course of normally 3 hours. But it's a lot of fun. Don't watch it with your kids. But if you just like two old friends just talking, we talk about pop culture stuff a lot. We casted our own Superman movie and crafted a story. So if you want to see that, it's on one of that. And Abe talks about the Mamma Mia movie sometimes, so we're going to talk about, they're making the third one. So we're probably going to talk about that at some point. But yeah, well, that's all the places you can find me.
And Brock, where can everyone find you?
Wait, hold on, I'm just reading this private chat where Matt just said that Limp Bizkit's cover of Behind Blue Eyes is the greatest rock song ever made. Oh boy.
What is a Limp Bizkit?
Exactly.
Type of pastry?
It's
Let this-
or
this
in the
sound good.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when they had to rename it Flaccid Pancake. It's not as worse as Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap was Filthy Acts Done at a Reasonable Price. That one was the best one. But anyway, you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. And yeah, doing fresh takes with Mike. We're finishing up Violet Evergarden. Then it's going to be Cromartie High when that finishes up. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then just more reviews and all that other stuff. If you like gaming, find me on Twitch.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Capes. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.